Hey everybody, Dave here. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be taking a look at a game called Red Ice Hockey from Powder Blue Sports, designed by John Turnbull. And this is a quick action hockey game that is going to give us sort of like a highlight level of what happens during a normal hockey game. It's going to take like certain aspects of a period. We're going to break it down into different segments, and we're going to see what kind of action is going to happen. We'll be able to see goals scored, who's going to get assists, and if there's going to be power plays, shorthanded goals, all sorts of fun stuff that's going to be going on in the game, and we're going to be getting to that shortly. So this is a free game that you can actually print out. If you go to the Red Ice Hockey Facebook page and if you join that page, you'll have access to a Google Drive where you can download files and you can print them out. If you don't want to print them out, you can contact the designer John Turnbull through that page, and you can order box sets where things are printed out. You get all the materials that you need to play the game. So since I printed this out, I needed to get some additional materials for me. So I have a number of dice that we're going to use, and they're probably going to be different colors than the ones that you will get. But it doesn't matter as long as we have certain ones that are the same size. So we are going to be playing a sample game here from the 1991-92 NHL season. And I have the Los Angeles Kings are going to be visiting the Chicago Blackhawks. And so this is one of the seasons that's available for download. I chose the 1991-92 NHL season because that's the first year that I got into hockey. And it was really exciting to watch the Chicago Blackhawks as they made a run all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. They ended up losing to the Pittsburgh Penguins. But I am from the Chicago area. That's why I chose the Blackhawks. The other reason, or the reason that I chose the LA Kings, one, Wayne Gretzky was playing for them at the time. And then also, if you look on here, Dave Taylor, that's me. Actually not the LA King, but that's my name. And so here I am in the game, so to speak. Anyways, so let me go through the rules as to how we're going to play this and what information that we're going to need. So let's take a look back at the sheets here for the team. So here we have the team title and their logo, and we look at their record back from that season. They were 36, 29, and 15, meaning they won 36 games, they lost 29, and they had 15 basically overtime losses. We have one sort of information that we're going to need right here. This is called the SRS, and this is a number that they use that the designer has come up with to kind of balance out or equate certain advantages or disadvantages for teams in the game. We also have additional charts that we're going to be referencing through the game, and we're going to be using our dice to determine those. Number one is going to be we'll be able to determine shots on goal, and then we also have some of the action that's going to take place, things that will go on here, whether the team is acting at full strength, meaning that they are a 5v5, meaning 5 players on each team on the ice plus the goalie. Or if there is a power play, meaning that one team has more players on the ice than the other due to penalties or whatnot. We also have some information for an empty net, which comes into play in the very end of the game. In case one of the teams is behind, they can pull their goalie to basically give them an extra attacker on the ice. And then we also have our information here for determining who our goalie is going to be for the game. And then we also have our roster over on the right-hand side. And we have this number over here, the assist number, and that we're going to be putting on our chart to determine the number of assists that will be taking place on a particular goal. So what we need to do to get started for this game is we're going to need to get a score sheet. So I have my score sheet right here for Red Ice Hockey. Here's the game details. This is a YouTube video for today, May 19th, 2025. And we have the Los Angeles Kings. They are the road team, so we'll write their team in there. And then we have this assist number, which theirs was 71. And we also have their SRS number, which is negative 0.19. And we'll do the same thing down in the bottom for the Chicago Blackhawks, who are the home team. Their assist number is 63, and their SRS is 0.22. Now, what you need to do with those SRS numbers is you take the two of them and you get the difference between them. And if it's 0.9 or more, then the team who has the higher SRS number is going to have an advantage in the game, where if they have certain opportunities in the game, they can either score an extra goal or they can negate a goal from their opposition to kind of help balance out the game. But however, the difference here is not 0.9, so we don't have to worry about that. So we have this set up. We're going to need some dice to play this game. So the first one that we're going to need to use, I have this one right here that just has numbers on it. I'm going to use this as what they call a decider die, and I'm going to use this as for 50-50 results. So all of the, when I roll this, any of the odd numbers, 1, 3, or 5, is going to be used to signify if it's going to be an offensive action. 2, 4, or 6, the evens, are going to be if it's going to be a defensive action. So that's what we're going to be used for that one. Then we need to have 2 sets of D6 dice, so 6-sided dice, all of the same color. So I have red ones and I have green ones. Then we're going to need an additional pair of 6-sided dice that are the same color, so I have those there. And then finally, we need a set of 2 different colored 10-sided dice that we'll be using for getting certain results. So we'll use this orangey one here for our 10s, and then the blue one is going to be for the 1s. So I'm going to set those off to the side. Now, what we're going to be doing as we get into the game is we're going to have actions. Each of the periods is going to be broken up into segments, 4 segments each. So they're going to basically represent 5 minutes of time in the game. So what I'm going to do then is we're going to roll dice, and we're going to see what the results are by looking on our charts over here to determine first if it's going to be an offensive or defensive action, and then we're going to add up the sum of our 3 D6s and seeing where we're going to be on here. So we have, if it comes up here with a dash, that means that there's no goal. So nothing really happened during that particular section of the segment of the period. If we're fortunate enough to get a thing here, this means we scored 2 goals in that 5-minute segment. Here we have some single goals, and then this XG, this basically, if it came into where that SRS difference was, this is where you have the opportunity to exercise that action of possibly having an extra goal scored for you or taken away. And then we also have down at the bottom, we have different sections where this stands for power play, which we'll be representing on the other side. So we'll get into this as we go along in the action. So the first thing that we need to do, though, is determine who our goaltenders are going to be for our game. So we'll start off with the LA Kings, and we're going to roll a 10-sided die, or the D10s, and we have the result of 69. So what we're going to do is we will look over on our goaltender chart, and if it was anywhere from 1 to 67, it would have been Kelly Ridley. But now we're going to have anywhere from 68 to 89 will be Daniel Bertau. So he is going to be our goalie for the LA Kings. So I'm going to go ahead and write that on our score sheet. So here we have it written on there. Next, we're going to determine who our goalie is for the Chicago Blackhawks. And I have 51. So if we look over here, up until 57, it's going to be Eddie Belfour. So I'll write him on our score sheet as well. Here we have Belfour. So it doesn't really matter, as there's no specific statistics for our goaltenders. It just shows you who's in net. You can keep your own statistics for your game as we go along. And the last thing that I need is I have a set of charts that are off camera that are going to be used for timing in case we have goals. They're broken down into different segments, so I have those off camera to determine what times are, and I will get to that when if we have a goal, or when we have a goal, I should say. So the first thing that we need to do is we're going to start off with determining these different segments, and we'll start in this particular game. We're going to start with our visitors, so the Los Angeles Kings, and how we're going to determine what happens in this first segment is I'm going to take a set of both of these. I'm going to take all of the D6 dice as well as the decider die, and I'm going to roll them all, and we're going to sort this all out. So here we have a bunch of rolls. I'll bring this up front. So the first thing that I need to do is analyze this. This is a 5, so this is an odd action. This is going to be an offensive action, because I said the odds would be offense. So what I'm going to do is on our score sheet in the first section, I'm going to write on here that I'm just going to put an O for offense. And I'm going to write that down. So I have the O right there. Next, I'm going to take our 3 of the red D6s, and I'm going to look at those results. And we have a total of 10. So we're going to look on our chart. We're at full strength right now. We're going to look under our offensive column, and we're going to look down to the number 10, and we see the dash. And so that means that there's no goal. So what I'll do is write on here, first of all, we have this is a 10, and the result is going to be that it's no goal. So we look down here, what's our segment score? Well, we didn't score anything. And the next thing we need to do is we need to look at our shots on goal. And the way that we determine that is we'll look at this pair of black dice, and we'll see that the number is 6. So we'll go back and we'll reference on here. The number 6 is going to tell me that there was 2 shots on goal. So in that first segment, which we'll write this down here, that there's a 2. Whoops, I'm sorry, the segment score is 0. I missed a column right there. And we'll put a 2 there. So at this point right now, I'm going to go ahead and write in here, we've got the Kings and the Blackhawks. And right now they didn't score anything. And then we'll go down here, we've got the Kings again and the Blackhawks. And so they have 2 shots on goal. We're going to keep a running tab down the middle right here. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do is if we had a section where if it came up with the PP for power play, then we would have referenced these numbers. Here, let's assume that we had a power play. We would have looked on here, and because we were on the offense, we would be looking on our card, and we would add up the results there, which we had an 8. Had we had that here on an 8, we would have scored a power play goal, but we did not. So that's just if we needed to reference the power play if that number was higher. So typically it's going to be the higher numbers are going to result in power plays. So anyways, that's the first segment for the LA Kings. They managed to put 2 shots on goal, but Belfour was able to defend both of those. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take all these dice and we're going to roll them again for the Chicago Blackhawks in their first segment. So we'll just roll this a little closer here. And we look that we have 2, which means that it's going to be defensive action. So I'm going to go down here to the Chicago Blackhawks, and I'm going to I'll just put DEF on here. And I guess I'll change that one up to the top to OFF. So now this is going to be defensive action, and our result is going to be on this one here. We have a total of 6. So we'll look on here. We're going to write down that we have a 6. Now, this is where it gets interesting and if you're not used to John's games, where this gets a little bit tricky. So because it is a defensive action, what we need to do is we need to reference, basically this would be the defender's chart, and we'll look up that result. So we go over on the Los Angeles Kings side, we have the defender. We look down on the number 6, and the Blackhawks managed to score 2 goals this period. So what I'm going to do is write in the result down here that we have 2 goals. And we'll go ahead and I'll get into that in a little bit here. So for our segment score, we have 2. And then we're going to look at our shots on goal. And we look at those numbers here. We have the number 4. We're going to go back to the Chicago Blackhawks, and we'll look at the number 4. And they have 1 shot on goal, but we're also going to add 1 shot for each goal that was scored. So we're going to have a total of 3 shots on goal. So we'll put the 3 up here on this for our shots on goal, and our segment score is 2. All right, so here this is kind of fun because now the Blackhawks have a 2-goal lead, and we're going to need to determine a couple of things here. So back when I referenced the assist number, this right here, 63, I'm going to roll 2d10, and we're going to determine if there is going to be more than one assist. So we're going to roll the number, and it came up as 58. So that means that if it's that number or less, then we're going to have 2 assists. So the first thing that we need to do, though, is figure out who scored the first goal, and then we're going to also determine the times for these goals. But let's determine who got the goals and the assists, and then we'll go back and we'll get times for this. So in order to find out who scored the goal, we're going to again roll the D10. This came up as 08. So if we look on our for our goals, this is where the threshold is. Anywhere from 1 all the way up to 19 is going to be Jeremy Roenick. So Jeremy Roenick gets the goal. So I'm going to score, and I'm going to write it down on the bottom of the score sheet that Roenick scored a goal. This is the first period. And then we're going to determine who the assists were by. So again, I'm going to roll the D10, and it came up as 43. And if we look up on the other side for the assist number 43, it's going to go up to Michel Goulet. So Goulet got the first assist, so I'll write that down on the score sheet. So we have Goulet with the assist. And the second assist we're going to roll again. This came up as 25. So when you look here, it's between 23 and 33 is going to be Steve Larmer. So I'm going to write down Larmer on there. All right. So what I need to do is determine the time for this goal, and the way that we're going to do that is I'm going to be referencing a goal timing chart. I have it off to the side, and it's available for you to download as well. I'll just kind of quickly pan over with the camera. You can see there's the timing chart over there. So we'll get back to the action over here. So to determine that, we're going to take one 6-sided die and our D10s, and we're going to roll these. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at the 6-sided die, and if it is a 1 or a 2, that's going to represent a 0 on the chart. If it's a 3 or 4, it's going to enter a 1. And if it's a 5 or 6, it's going to result in a 2. So I have a 2, and then we have a 0, 5. So if I look over on the chart at 2:05, it's going to tell me that at 3 minutes and 25 seconds is when this goal happened. So I'm going to write down 3:25 because in hockey they always keep track of the time when goals are scored. So at the time, at the 3:25 at the first period, Jeremy Roenick put one in the net, assisted by Michel Goulet and Steve Larmer. Now, we're going to do the same thing now for the second goal. We're going to determine who got that. And the result is going to be 40. So again, we'll look on our chart over here, and it's going to be Brian Noonan. So Noonan with the goal, he puts one in, and he's in the first period. And we're also going to determine now who, if he's going to have, I need to do an assist roll here, see if we're going to have more than one assist. 94, that means that there's not going to be a second assist. It's only going to be one assist on this goal. So we'll determine what that is. It says 58. So again, we'll go back to our chart, and we'll look on here, and we'll look up to where 58 is. Dirk Graham. Dirk Graham with the assist. And now we have to roll for the time for this particular goal. So again, I've got a 6-sided die, and we're going to roll here. And we have a 6, which is going to give me that's going to give me a 2, and then 31. And if I look at that time, 2:31 is going to give me at 3:51. So they managed to score 2 goals within 30 seconds of each other. So the Blackhawks managed to sneak 1 and 2 right away. And if the time of that one had come up as before the first goal, we would have to re-roll till we get a higher number. So that's going to be how we determine a segment. Now I'm going to kind of speed things up a little bit here for the sake of time so that we can get through, and I want you to at least see how a period works. All right, so we're going to jump back into the action here. We're going to get in with our back to the Kings. And this is going to start our second segment of the first period. We're going to roll the dice. We have a 3. That's going to be an offensive action. And we look at our numbers here. We have a 5, 5, and 4. So that's going to be a 14. So we're going to go back to the LA Kings. We're going to look on the offense. We're going to look down at 14. They are going to have a power play. So on the sheet over here, we're going to write down offensive. And we're going to write down a 14. And we look at the roll, and that's going to be a power play. So we're going to look on at our other dice for our power play result, which is going to be a 12. So we'll write that down here, power play 12. And what is the result of that? We're going to look on our chart over on the power play on the offensive side, number 12, no goal. So even though they had a power play, they failed to convert. They were not able to score on that, so I just put a little dash there. So our segment score, again, 0. And we'll look at our shots on goal. And we had a 3 and a 2 for a total of 5. We look on our chart over here, and that's going to give us 1 shot on goal. So the Kings still have 0, but now they have 3 shots on goal so far. So I just have these things written down as we're keeping a running total. All right, now back to the Chicago Blackhawks for their next segment. And we're going to look at their 1. That's going to be offensive, and we're going to look at these low numbers. Whoops, that was a 1. So we have a 4. So again, we go over here and look, and the Blackhawks managed to score 2 more goals in the next segment. So obviously this goaltender that's in for the Los Angeles Kings is not doing very well. So I am going to write down on our segment over here that it's going to be offensive, and it is a 4, and we have 2 more goals. So the Chicago Blackhawks are just right away just demoralizing the LA Kings. So they're scoring 2 more goals, and we look at the number of shots on goal. So we have 3, the number 3, which on our chart translates to 0, plus the 2 shots on goal. So that's going to give us 2 for that segment, and that puts us up to 5 shots on goal. So right now, they have 4 goals with 5 shots on goal. So whatever they're doing, their goaltender must be as shaky as all get out. So let's go ahead and determine, again, if there's going to be, or who our scorer is going to be. We're going to look at this. We have a 39. So we're going to go down our chart here, and we're going to look 39. This is going to be Michel Goulet with a goal. So he's already on the board with points because he already has an assist on the first thing. And let's roll and see if there's going to be more than 1 assist on this particular segment. And he is an 89, so that is greater than 63, so there's only going to be 1 assist. Let's see who the assist is going to be. 44. So we roll down the thing here. We look, where's 44? It's going to be between, so it's after 43, before 51. So Brent Sutter with the assist on that. Let's roll for our time. So we look at the 5, and then we have a 9 and a 5. This is still the segment 2 of our play. So we have a 295, which is going to be quite towards the end of the 955. So it's going to be very hard. Basically, 955 at the end of this segment. So we're going to essentially have to have something that's going to be after 955, and I'm probably going to end up having to make something up because it's going to be I don't want to spend all this time rolling for it. But let's see who scores the next goal. And it's going to be 19. So Jeremy Roenick with another goal. So Jeremy Roenick already has 2 goals, and we're not even 10 minutes into the period. So I'm going to write down Roenick on our score sheet. We'll roll to see if there's going to be more than 1 assist on there. It's a 69, so it's greater than 63, so there's only going to be 1 assist. We'll roll on here, and the result is 65. If we go down the chart again, look up 65, it's going to be Mike Hudson. So Hudson with the assist on that. Okay. And for the sake of argument, not having to re-roll a bunch of dice, we're just going to put this one at 959. So basically what happened is they probably got something right off the face-off and managed to slap another one in. So there we are at the halfway through the first period, and the Chicago Blackhawks are up 4-0. So that is terrible for the LA Kings. All right, let's go back to their segment, and back to our segments and see what happens. We're going to roll our dice. Back for the LA Kings, we look 1, it's an offensive action. We're going to look at 2, 4, and a 3. 2, 4, and 3. So that's going to give us a total of 9 on the offensive thing. We're going to look down here, offense, number 9. XG. Since they don't have the extra goal option on this one, because we didn't have that difference for the SRS, this is basically going to count as no goal. So nothing happens on there. So I'm going to write on here, offense, and the roll was a 9, and the result was basically nothing. So segment score was nothing. Their shots on goal, they have a total of 9. That's going to give them 3 shots on goal. So they're still at 0 on the score sheet, and they are now at 6 shots on goal. So Ed Belfour has been maintaining the crease and not allowing them to score. So here we go. We're back to the Blackhawks. And we roll 2 is going to be a defensive action. So I'm going to go ahead and write defense on their sheet, and I'll just keep this off camera. That way I'm not just throwing it back and forth. But it's going to be defense, and the total is 13. So we're going to go over on the LA Kings. We're going to look over on the defense chart, and we look at 13, and it's going to be a power play. So defense, 13. This is a power play. Now we're going to look at the power play result over here. 5, 2, and 2. That's going to be 9. So then we're going to, again, look over. We're going to look on the LA Kings power play. Since we're on the defense, we're going to look at 9, and we're going to see that nothing happened there. So finally, there was a segment that went by that they didn't score. So we rolled a 9, and that had a 0. So just to show you on the chart here, we have a defense 13. The result was a power play. The power play roll was a 9, which resulted in nothing. And so their segment score, they didn't score anything. Our shots on goal, we have 8. That's going to give us 3 shots on goal. So that puts us up to 8 shots on goal for the Blackhawks. All right, back to the segment for the LA Kings. We're going to roll this out here. And we have a 1 that's going to be an offensive action. And then we look at the numbers, the red numbers here, 3, 6, 8. So offense 8 for the LA Kings. They're going to manage to score a goal. So finally, we look here. Here's the 8 on the offense. So the Los Angeles Kings, they finally score a goal. And so that gives them 1. Their shots on goal, if we look at this, we have 5 plus 3 is 8. So we look on here, that's going to be 3. 3 shots plus the 1, 4 shots on goal. So that's going to bring them up to 10 shots on goal. And they are going to score a goal. So they're on the board. Let's see who scored for this. The number is 70. Let's look at their roster and see where we're at in terms of 70. So up here, we're going to have Bob Kudelski is going to have the score. So Kudelski with the goal. We're going to see if they're going to have more than 1 assist. If we roll 71 or less, there'll be 2 assists. We rolled a 70, so there's going to be 2 assists on this one. The first assist is going to be going to 86. So if we look down on here, Peter Ahola, A-H-O-L-A. Almost thought it was Aloha, but it's And then the second assist is going to be number 46, which we go down here, Tony Granato is going to have the second assist. So Tony Granato. And so we have that written down on the bottom for the road team. Let's determine our scoring. We are in the 4th segment. Let me open up my chart over on the side so we can see. 4th segment, we're going to roll the dice. We have a 2, which is going to be a 0, 0, 4, 9, which is going to give us at at 15:49 in the period. So 15:49 in the first period, the LA Kings finally get on the board. All right, let's get back to the action here with the Kings. And we have an offensive, I'm sorry, for the Blackhawks, we have an offensive action. We have 3 and 3 is basically 6. So offensive action for the Blackhawks, we have a 6. We look at the results on their chart. That's going to be a goal. They score. So again, the Chicago Blackhawks scoring another goal. They're going to look like, with this result right here, there's going to be a massive amount of shots on goal. So we'll look at that. So we look at the 12. That's 5 shots plus 1. That means they put 6 shots on goal this particular period. So right now I'm going to have this written down. We scored another goal. We have another 6 shots on goal. So 8 and 6 is 14. Man, they are just peppering the net with shots. All right, let's take a look and see who scored the goal and all the assists and everything else like that. And as you can see, as we're moving along, the game gets to moving a little bit faster here. So we look at that's 22. And we're going to look in here, Steve Larmer with the goal. So Larmer with a goal and an assist so far. The first period, let's see if there's going to be more than one assist. We're going to be rolling, looking for the 22 is going to be less than 63, so there's going to be 2 assists. So that's the first assist is going to be by 79. So let's take a look at the roster down here. And let's see, it looks like we have František Kuchera, K-U-C, it looks like a Czech name. All right, he's going to get an assist, and the second assist is going to be going to 38. We're going to look and see here. Looks like Michel Goulet with another assist. Man, Goulet is having a great game so far. He's already scored a goal and 2 assists. And let's look at the time for the game. We're looking at the time. We are in segment 4. We're still in segment 4. We look at this. We look at the 2. It's a 0-0-3. So we have to re-roll this because it's less than what we had before. So we look at this. We look at the number 5, which is a 2. 273 on our chart basically says that it's at 1933 in the period. So right towards the end of the period, 1933 in the first period. And there we are. So at the end of the first period, the Chicago Blackhawks are up 5-1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pause in the action, and we're going to come back, and we're going to come in towards the end of the period, and we're going to take a look at things. So I'm going to go ahead and play this out, and we'll be back. All right, we're back, and I'm going to do the last 2 segments in the third period, and a lot has happened since then. We are basically now, the Chicago Blackhawks are up 8-2. We had another 2-goal segment, so they've had 3 segments where they've had 2 goals apiece. And Jeremy Roenick has managed to have get a hat trick at the 16:50 mark. I forgot to get the time for Steve Larmer's goal. I'll have to go back and do that. But we're going to end up going back now. We're halfway through the third period. Let's see what's going to happen with the LA Kings. So we're going to roll all of our dice and see where we are at with this. So, whoops. All right, so we have 4. That's a defensive action for the Kings. Their number is going to be 5, 4, and 1 is 10. So we look over on the Chicago Blackhawks chart. Defense number 10. They're on the power play. We look at our power play result. Here we have a 5, 4, and a 3. That's 12. So we look on there, power play, defensive, there's going to be nothing, no goal there. So nothing happens, no luck for the Kings. They have been having a terrible game. They just can't seem to get anything past Eddie Belfour. He's been really, really strong in the net today. We look at the total number of shots on goal. We've got a 5 and a 4. That's a 9. So we look over here. They were managed to put 3 more shots on goal. So right now, they are at, still have 2 goals. So they are at 28 shots on goal. The Blackhawks have managed to put 34 on net so far before going into this next segment. So we're going to look here at this, and we are going to roll. And looks like, again, the Blackhawks, they're going to be on the offense because this is an odd. And we look at the numbers, and it's going to be a total of 12. So we look at offense 12 on our chart here. They're going to be on the power play. So we'll write down power play, and then their power play roll is going to be 5 and 2 and 1. That's 8. So power play, offense 8. Scored another goal, power play goal. So this is, if we look at the statistics so far, what we're keeping track on here. So far we've had, this is their second power play goal of the game. So there we give them a segment score of 1. And we'll look at our shots on goal. And we have 10 right there, which is going to give us 4. Plus the goal they scored is 5. So 5 more shots on goal. They have just been relentless on the net. That puts them at 39 shots on goal so far. And, whew, man, that is terrible. So let me figure out who the goal is going to be by, and we'll figure out all of that other stuff. So who scored the goal this time? We look, it is 78. We come down on our chart. We look at 78. It's going to be Jocelyn Lemieux. He already had an assist before, so Lemieux. Jocelyn Lemieux, third period. And we're going to see where we at with assists. We have a 29, so there's going to be 2 assists on there. First assist by is number 54, Dirk Graham. So Dirk Graham, I think he already had 1 assist before in the game back in the first period. And the second one we're looking at 61 for an assist. That's going to be Steve Smith. He was my favorite defenseman. Big, tall guy. He used to be kind of a goon, and he used to fight quite a bit, scrapped quite a bit. So this is the 11th segment. So let me get back to my chart over on the page there. We're going to roll this. We look at a 5, that's going to give me a 2. 228, we look at 228 on the chart is going to be 1348. So 1348 in the third period. Jocelyn Lemieux managed to put one in. Let me go back and figure out what the time was for the Steve Larmer goal that was back in the second period. I'm just going to roll this real quick, and I look at that. And 022, so 022. So that is going to put me at 5:22 in the second period. Actually, that is going to have to be re-rolled because there was already a goal at 16:56. So we're going to have to roll in there. So basically, we're going to have to put this in the last section. I'm sorry, that was the first one. I must have missed up. Okay, never mind. I missed. There was that one. I missed one here with Jeremy. I'm sorry, that's got to be after 16:56. So that was the second goal period. That's going to be in segment 8. I'm in the wrong chart. Ugh. Sorry about that. And beautiful thing about film and video, I'm not even going to edit it out though. All right, so we look at a 6. That's going to be a 2. So 221. Look on the chart, and it's going to tell me at 1841 was when Steve Larmer scored a goal. So 1841. So I have that written down on the bottom of my chart right there. And we already have our 2 things. So now it comes down to we're coming into our last segment, and the Los Angeles Kings are behind. So I have to make a mandatory roll. Even though there is no way they're going to score 6 goals, we have to check and see if they're going to do something in here like pulling the goalie. So there is a rule that says towards the end, it says the opportunity for an empty net goal will only exist during the 12th segment of the game. If a team is losing going into the last segment of the third period, then the team will roll for the mandatory empty net scoring possibility. So we're going to look here. There is a number 21. So if we roll below that, then they're going to basically pull their goalie. So let me roll this and see what happens. And we roll, and it is a 58. So they are not going to be pulling their goalie. They're just, what they'll end up doing is rolling their normal segment, just like we've been rolling before. So let's get all of our dice together and roll it and see this final 5 minutes of the period. They are going to go on the offensive, and they have an offense 4. They are actually going to score a goal. So they managed to put one in the net finally. It's been taking them forever. So they score 1 goal. Let's see who is going to score the goal for them. 61. So if we look down the way, Bob Kudelski. This is an interesting. Bob Kudelski is the only one who's managed to score 3 goals. He manages to get a hat trick for the LA Kings. So we're looking here. Here's his 3rd one in the 3rd period. Let's see what we have for our assists. We have a 16. That means there's going to be 2 assists. The first assist, number 82, is going to be Rob Blake with the assist. And the second assist is going to be by 41. So we look over here, and that's going to be Brian Benning. Time of the goal is going to be at, let's see, we are in the 12th segment. So let me get back to my charts over here. 12th segment. We look at this, it's a 6, so that's going to be a 2. And 289. 289 puts us at 1949. So we are way late in the game here. 1949. 1949. Bob Kudelski manages to put a 3rd one in the net for the Kings. I managed to not see what their shots on goal were. I'll have to re-roll that. Just I can't recall what that was. And so anyways, they put a score. That puts them with 3 goals. And we'll just roll this for their shots. There was 3 and 1. That's 4. So it's going to be 1 shot plus the goal. So 2 shots on goal. So that's going to put them at 30 shots on goal. And the final drive here, final segment for our Chicago Blackhawks. And they're going to be, it's going to be defense. And the number for that is going to be 17. So we go over and we look on our chart over here, defense 17. Basically nothing. So last drive they didn't manage to do anything. Their shots on goal, they had an 8, which gives them 3 shots on goal. So that puts them at 42 shots on goal. Our final score being 8-3 in favor of the Chicago Blackhawks. We have all of our information down at the bottom if you wanted to keep your own statistics and everything like that. We can look at our total number of saves. If we look at our shots on goal, we have 42 minus 3 to get the number of saves. So he's going to have 39 saves, and I'll calculate. You can calculate a save percentage. And the same thing with our other goalie here. There were 30, I'm sorry. Oh, the LA Kings, I think I got this wrong. The LA Kings had 30 shots on goal. 30 minus 3 is 27. So Eddie Belfour has 27 saves. Sorry. And then the other, against the Blackhawks, they had 42 shots on goal. So 42 minus 8 is 34. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go grab a calculator, and we're going to calculate what our save percentage is. All right, I went ahead and calculated the save percentages for this. So we start off with Eddie Belfour with a 90% save percentage, so 0.9. That's great. We get over here to Berthau, and 0.809. That is horrible. Horrible performance by him today. This looked like the real LA Kings just had a terrible trip on the road to visit the Blackhawks. This is just a drubbing, to say the least, in this particular game. But I wanted you to see how this game plays. The more that you play it, the faster it gets. I just wanted to go a little bit slower so that you could see through things, referencing charts and stuff like that. But anyways, definitely a game worth checking out. You can do what they call projects, where you can replay whole seasons. Let's say, for example, you wanted to play through the Chicago Blackhawks season, the 1991-92 season. You can go to hockeyreference.com or find the schedule from that particular season and you can get your own schedule, and you can grab all these teams, and you can play through all these games and generate your result and see what happens. See how close your record comes to what the actual records were. And just for fun, just to see how it is. You can do just a bunch of one-off games just like I did here. You can make up your own what-if scenarios, like what if the Los Angeles Kings were in the Stanley Cup and they were in their one conference, to pick a team from the other conference, have them play in the finals and see what happens in the best-of-7 series. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with this game. It's a lot of fun, and I definitely thank John Turnbull for taking the time to make this game. A lot of this is all based on real stats and a lot of probabilities and everything like that. We let the math people do the work, and us that like to play the games, we can play them out. So anyways, you guys, thank you for joining me for this. I know it's a little bit different than stuff that you might have seen on the channel before, but this is a lot of this is the stuff that I get a chance to play now, because a lot of times I'm playing stuff solitaire, and this works great for this. All right, thank you guys, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.